both emotionally and economically, vanishes. The parent gets damaged, and then the parent comes out. We work with people who are struggling to make up for that damage, to be the parents to their kids that they didn't have the chance to be. But it's a real struggle, and it's against overwhelming odds. And what we're seeing is an increasing rate of incarceration for women. The incarceration rate has gone up dramatically
Why is
across
that?
the population. The incarceration rate for women has gone up exponentially.
Why?
Because of drug enforcement. Because of drug enforcement. It's drug arrests. It's arrests for drug use. It's arrests for drug sales. And before, women didn't go to prison for it. As the escalation in enforcement continues, more and more women are getting pulled into the system.
What are you going to have, honey? You don't want no salad? Want nuggets? You want some bread with that, honey? You want an apple or a banana? Okay, down on the bottom. Get what you want. Want some bread?
Your quiet time, take a walk.
I know. Want an apple or a banana? Banana? Grab one. You want a lot? Okay. You do?
You love ravioli?
Nice and cheesy today. I put a lot of cheese in it for you guys. Want some bread?
Your mama cook ravioli?
Want some bread?
Okay, real good.
Okay. You want a chicken nugget? No.
Okay, real good. Come on, let's eat, fellas. Okay, we got 15 minutes. Let's go, fellas. Don't eat fast, but just don't waste it.
What happens with foster care kids is that at the age of 16, they age out. They can be kept as long as 18, but I used to do criminal defense work, and I would see these kids who had been in foster care, had never learned the coping skills to be able to go out on their own. And in fact, at 16 or 18, I think very few children have the ability to support themselves. And they would be given their possessions in a black garbage bag, and they'd be turned out on the street. And then they'd get arrested. And then they'd be in the criminal justice system. And then they'd be following the track of the parent who went ahead of them.
I'm happy because I'm going.
You're going? Where you going?
I'm going to my foster home. Her name is Miss Robertson.
Have you seen her?
Yes, I've seen her on my visit.
She a nice woman?
Yes, she has one foster children and 2 kids, one of them 24 and the other one 20.
They're nice too.
Yes. The foster kid is Lorenzo. The other one, I forgot the other 2 names.
That's your stuff?
Yes. I like rollerblading a lot. I can do all kinds of tricks. I can do mostly everything.
And why did you come here?
Because why did I come here? I forgot. I don't know why. I forgot.
This is like snake oil. The war on drugs is like snake oil. Snake oil is an American expression for a nostrum, a medication that doesn't work. The war on drugs is a very powerful industry. The drug testing industry is probably $1 billion a year industry. We have spent, just in building new prisons, $30 billion in the last 10 years. $30 billion in not new schools, not new hospitals, but in cells and bars and, stainless steel trays and stainless steel toilets and cameras and electronic gates. I mean, this enormously expensive stuff. In California, they've built more than 20 new prisons in this period of time. They built 1 public university. In California, prison guards are paid more than starting professors in the state university system in California. In California, the prison guards union is the biggest political contributor after the doctors. It's a major It's a major player in the political system in California, the prison guard union. Jerry Solomon, recently retired, he was a major leader in the war on drugs. He introduced legislation that everybody in the federal government would be drug tested. The president, the chief justice, the members of the cabinet, everybody. The people who push the mops down the hallway, everybody's going to be drug. He was Mr. War on Drugs. And his congressional district benefited by thousands of people. That means thousands of jobs. The major form of employment in his congressional district was locking people up. So you take men out of a community which is already struggling, and you further weaken that community. I mean, these men, assume for a moment that they were thieves or drug sellers. They still were fathers. They still put food on the table for their kids. They played softball. They were in the community.
Well, the main effects of the war on drugs on health is to marginalize the drug user, to put them outside the system where they could get health care. So, for example, we have a project with women who are in methadone treatment. And we ask these women if they tell their doctors that they're in methadone treatment. No, they never tell them. Because when they tell the doctor that they're in methadone treatment, that means they're drug addicts. And if they're in drug addicts, the doctors step back and don't want to deal with them. Not all doctors, obviously. There are many wonderful doctors who are very compassionate to care for these patients. But most doctors are afraid of these patients. They're afraid of addiction. They have to worry that the drug addict will steal something. They have to worry that the drug addict will frighten away their other patients. Women who use drugs, who have babies or are pregnant. And this builds a lot of public sympathy that the images, these are women damaging their unborn babies by using drugs. The cocaine baby, the myth of the... And most of the research now has shown that really what's much more damaging to babies than drugs is poverty, the absence of prenatal care, nutrition, housing. And of course, a woman who's a drug user, who's on the run and has an unstable life, cannot be a very good mother, cannot have a very good pregnancy. The drugs are inseparable from that pattern. But they prosecute the drugs.
You're working on a case. What case?
Case involving a woman named Cornelia Whitner. This is a woman who didn't have an easy life. When she was 14, her mother dropped dead. She was then had to be raised by one of her older sisters. And in her depression and confusion, she started to use drugs. And eventually, she became a young woman who was addicted and pregnant. And in the course of her whole life, she had never been offered drug treatment or had any exposure to the possibility of help for her problems. Yet when she went to the hospital and gave birth and her newborn son tested positive for cocaine, rather than being offered any kind of counseling or drug treatment, she was reported to the police by the hospital. And the police came and arrested her on charges of child abuse on the theory that by being pregnant and addicted, she was abusing the fetal child, the unborn child. And again, never offered treatment. Cornelia thought that if she pled guilty and asked for the court's mercy, if she said, "Please, Your Honor, help me get into an inpatient drug treatment program," that she might actually get the help she needed. And the judge looked at her and said, "No, I think I'll just send you to jail," and then sentenced her to 8 years in jail.
What's the role of the doctor? Because the doctor brings the baby.
Right. Well, as a result of the decision, the Attorney General has declared that everyone, doctors, nurses, social workers, even the people who give out food supplements to pregnant women, if they know that a pregnant woman is using drugs, they are mandated to report that woman as a child abuser. So that now it's state law for a whole range of people who should be helping women. They now, even if she's coming in for drug treatment, even if she's coming in for food supplements, if they believe